When it comes to process improvement, process redesign, and process reengineering, some people use those terms interchangeably, but there's actually a significant difference between the three. The difference is primarily on how complex and intrusive the change is that we're trying to affect. So let me start with the beginning here, process improvement. With process improvement, we're focused within a process to say, how can we take an existing process and make it better? Enable people to do the work faster, stronger, cheaper perhaps, get stronger outcomes from the process itself. Often people will use the term continuous improvement to mean the same thing. So it's more localized change where we're not necessarily changing the process itself, but we're enabling better resource clarity, staffing and onboarding, support tools within how we use the process and perform the process. We may even change the format of the inputs to make them easier to use within the process, the knowledge that we use and consume to get the work done, or the form and function of the outputs that we produce from the process. The process isn't the same, but the form that we produce may change. So that's really what we've talked about with process improvement. It's not as complex, it's not as intrusive as the next one, which is process redesign. Now on process redesign, what we're really focused on is changing the requirements and needs that we're fulfilling through the process itself. So just modifying how we staff it and support it isn't going to be good enough. We have to step back and say, what is the real purpose and what's the right future state approach that we need in order to get the work done and do it the way we expect. So now we have to involve the stakeholders, whether they're internal or external, and then determine whether there's alternative future state or to-be state processes that we can evaluate strengths and weaknesses against and select the best appropriate fit. Now that means that we're going to also have to go in and make change, and that change requires more significant deployment and support because now we're transitioning people from an old way of doing work to a new way. Reengineering is even going one step further on complexity and coordination because now we're saying not only are we going to change the process to new requirements, but we're going to potentially change the organizational structures and the technology and digitization, the automation to go along with that process. So it's more of a systemic organizational change that's going on with reengineering. More stakeholders, more coordination, and your change management and deployment activities become much, much more critical because instead of a transition with redesign, we're now talking about a transformation of how the business functions, people, process, and technology. So to summarize the three concepts here, process improvement is really localized and it's less intrusive. It's all about improving how we're getting to the outcomes as opposed to changing what we're doing. With redesign, we're really getting to new, innovative ways to get the work done. It adds competency, capability, and enhances the overall outcome. And reengineering is now an organization-wide transformation that really is requiring significantly more change control, coordination, and the time to get the impact will absolutely go up. So you can also assume not just on complexity, but the duration that these activities take from improvement through re-engineering is a greater investment for the organization.